How's everybody doing? As you can see, I decided to come back to you. I had to take a little break, but guess what? Today, we got a show. We're going to be talking about voices of a black nation. Yeah, we're talking about America. So here it is. Justice shall prevail. So, hey, let's play the intro and let's get into it. Welcome back to the Willis Podcast. How you guys doing, ladies and gentlemen? I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a great day. It's MLK Day, so salute and peace to the great Dr. MLK. You know, we love Dr. MLK. We love the Radical King version, as I would say. MLK wasn't just he wasn't who you thought he was. When he figured out that the dominant society, the establishment, just didn't have intention on doing right by the Aboriginal class of people that were here. They toyed with us, played in our faces, and did all kind of things. But before they assassinated King, he said, "We're going on. The next time we march on Washington, we're going to get our check." That's what the great King said. So don't get it confused. Don't let people think that the great MLK was some form of a floozy. Was he fooled? Was he tricked? Yeah, just like anybody else would be. Dealing with people that double talk and they say words and um, they 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 say things that they don't mean. They they would tell you, "Oh yeah, sure, we can get that accomplished." But as soon as you leave that room, we're not going to do anything for that bastard. Yeah, that's how that go. So, uh, catching on to the fact that you know some people take integrity and telling the truth very seriously. Um, when you're a person of integrity, people should be able to take you at your word, at as if it's a signed document. But that didn't happen. They knew when you're dealing with a very honorable people that the trick was up. I mean, you can lie all you want. That was the whole game. The game was about telling lies. The game was about being dishonest. The game was about being destructive. The game was about a hoax, a lie, with not even the the thought of fulfilling what is right or what can be right or what shall be right. So when you think about it, you have to understand how dealing with the people that will rob or hijack a whole nation, how good are you? How actually good are your laws? You know, you want everybody to capitulate to your behalf, but at the end of the day, you don't uphold justice. When you don't uphold justice, that degrades your society. When you don't uphold justice, that makes the people that you take the people that sit in those positions and situations right now today, you're very untrustworthy. Nobody believes anything that you say because you have seemed to default on the things that you should do, like take care of American citizens, take care of United States citizens. Believe me, there is a difference. So let's get to the first whip moment. Do we have a lawless country? Well, we have a felon president. So I would say, yeah, at this point, you got, people hate behaving, to a capacity to where it seems like they're trying to draw us to some form of, conflict. I won't use the words that you want me to use, but if you're talking about civil war, yeah, that's what it's kind of looking like. But I would advise people to stick to your moral high ground, but keep that thing cocked and loaded too. That's what I would. That's amen. Keep that thing locked and loaded too. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Because you got people behaving all kind of crazy. Like, I know y'all seen that Anton Daniels and Corey Holcomb situation. Suppose there had been two brothers that should been able to take the opportunity to build and to show that you can have disagreements. But we know that Anton went on the show with a fucking agenda. He had a supreme agenda to go on the show to show some form of discredit to the great Corey, the great comedian Corey Holcomb. And Anton is just like I've never seen a person that have reached such success and be so delusional, so disconnected, so disoriented, just so you don't even know what the hell you're talking about. Like when everybody's hearing these explanations, it doesn't make any sense. You're a cornball. You got all that money, but you still got loser behavior and loser energy. You still got that you have a way about you that is it's a little uncanny as a black man. You can't praise yourself and degrade yourself at the same time, man. It doesn't make sense. That's you're actually a court jester. If you want to make that a claim, a court jester or the most grotesque things you could say to a black man. So I don't know what how old he is or where he get off or who he think he is, man. This dude is, you could be rich, but your character is extremely important. And the way you treat other people in that house is extremely important. If your intentions were to go in another man's house and take a shit on his carpet and saying that was your intentions, that makes you an extremely shitty person with horrible character. Anyway, I ain't got nothing else to say about that old bullshit right there because, in a real respectful world and in a world of the way, we should treat and exchange and behave with one another, you wouldn't do that to another man in his house. Let's get to some voices. Let's get to the book, y'all. I promise you this. Let's get back to this book. I did a show about this. I got to do another one. Voices of a Black Nation by Theodore G. Vincent. So I want to cover because at this one point in time we were Afro Americans, just like you have Afro Latinas and that type of shit. But all right. The one thing about this book, it talks about, in the contents is about the emerging Negro and questions of identity. So let's talk about the questions of identity. We're gonna get into we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into those these type of issues and struggles that we had even back in the day. So we're gonna get into Robert L. Van, Americanism. This is Questions of Identity, page 85. There we go. All right. Americanism, Robert L. Van, competitor, January 1920. The competitor has but one policy: a complete Americanization wrought by the proper blend of a cooperative efforts of all Americans for the mutual benefit of all Americans. The Negro has been clothed with citizenship by federal legislation, and designation of him a special American is highly improper. He is an American without any qualification, without any qualifying adjectives descriptive either of his color, of his condition. There is such a thing as half American. If the Negro is an American, then he can have but one demand upon his country: the right to compete fully with ever other Americans in everything American for the identical fruits and blessings sought and achieved by any other American under other systems of government. This must be the privilege of every American who meets the test of American citizenship. Did you hear what I said about what an American actually is, which I have told you time and time again? Now, this is from the 1920s. Listen up. The competitor is not published in a it's not published in opposition to any organization or in opposition to any means or set of men. It has no foolish purpose to expose. Rather, it is dedicated to the consumption, the consummation of a profit and dignified relationship between all Americans. The competition, the competitor, will not bear aloof to burning torch of a Bolshevist, anarchist, or a blind radical, nor will it tolerate a cringing coward who declines to defend his honor or his home against any invading foe. The competitor believes there is need of a new national consensus. There must be a new system substituted for the old. There must be a conference between the various races and groups with a sincere desire to instruct all Americans in progressive American ideas. Mind you, this is 105 years ago, 1920. This is the NAACP and its class struggles. W.E.B. Du Bois, crisis in August 1921. The NAACP had been accused of not being revolutionary body. Sound familiar? This is 1920. This is quite true. We do not believe in revolution. We expected revolutionary changes in many parts of this life in this world, but we expect those changes to come mainly through reasons, human sympathy, and an education of children, and not by murder. We know that there have been times when organized murder seemed the only way out of wrong, but we believe that those times have been very few. The cost of remedy excessive and result of terrible and as beneficent as we gravely doubt if the future there will be any real recurrent necessity for such upheaval. Well, that was false. That was a false notion by the NAACP. As you can see, we have never not dealt with these problems, and that was 1921. So do you understand that we are far past the mindset of a progressive mentality simply because we've always had it. We've always fought. We've always made sure that America was supposed to give us some form of justice, but then to no form of justice, to no avail, to no avail. So when you propagate somebody, you provoke them, you want upheaval. I'm not speaking of it. I digress. But at the end of the day, you can't keep pressing upon people, and look at what they're doing to everybody else now. But what was the key? This did not have to happen. 1920, 1921. Voices of a Black Nation. Voices of a Black Nation, 1921. We couldn't become a Black nation if we weren't here already. And we couldn't call ourselves Black if it wasn't for whites calling themselves white. It's a direct response to who called themselves a name in the first place. You should know your history. Du Bois on revolution. A reply. Message, September 1921. In the August crisis of W.E.B. Du Bois speaking, editorially writes an article enlisted the class struggle. which reads in part, the NAACP has been accused of not being a revolutionary body. This is quite true. But we did not. Oh well, we didn't know. We already read that. I want to talk about what was before that. Dead, and we're going to talk about. We talked about that part, but you also know that there was a big old problem with Du Bois and Garvey. Big problem. In Black American history, there are two personalized feuds, which stands out of being all others. W.E. Du Bois versus Booker T. Washington, and W.E. Du Bois and Marcus Garvey. Garvey and Du Bois had initially tried to establish friendly relations. When Du Bois vacationed in Jamaica in 1915, he hosted by a local. When Du Bois vacationed, he was hosted by the local UNIA as an honor visitor. However, in reportedly on his visit, Du Bois declared the race problem in Jamaica had been virtually eliminated, and to the Garvey reacted angrily in 1916 letter to R. Morton of Tuskegee Institute. When Garvey came to America in 1916, one of his first actions to pay a visit to the NAACP office in New York. This visit was to complete the split between the two men. Garvey was shocked to find that most of the work in the NAACP headquarters workers, were white. Fresh from his native land, Garvey equated the sense of a NAACP office with what would have met in Jamaica, where Organization for Blacks, which had whites, is the key role, where usually agencies of a predator preparation of imperialism through black middle class lackeys. You hear that? Sound familiar, Byron Donaldson? See, it's the same tricks. This is evidence that these same tricks that they do and have always done. Let me keep reading. Middle class black lackeys. Garvey concluded that the NAACP was a national association for the advancement of certain people, the black middle class and their white friends, and not for the black masses. See the trick? This is the result of who? Kissing ass. That's what they were telling you back then. The voice of black voices, how they was even at the top, how the ideological difference between the boys and Garvey, he just let them have it and let it know. So we know that Garvey did not like Du Bois. I mean, what the Du Bois did not like Garvey. Du Bois didn't like Garvey because Du Bois couldn't. But let me read. When it comes to Mr. Garvey's industrial and commercial enterprise, there are more grounds for doubt and misgivings than in a matter of his character. First of all, enterprise incorporated in Delaware, where the incorporations and laws are loose and where there's no financial statements are required. So far as I can find, and I have searched with care, Mr. Garvey had never published a complete statement of an income, of expenditures, of the Negro Improvement Association, or of the Black Star Line, of any of his enterprises, which really revealed his financial situation. A courtesy letter of inquiry sent to him July 22nd of 1920, asking such financial data, which he was willing for the public to know, remains to this day unacknowledged and unanswered. This is a serious situation, and even this does not tell the whole story. In the real estate, furniture, etc., listed above and probably valued correctly. But how about the boats? The Yarmouth of the wooden sternmer of 452 tons, built in 1887, is an old and unseaworthy and can nearly sink a year ago. And it nearly sank a year ago, and it has cost a great deal of repairs, and said that it's now laid up for repairs with a large bill due. Does that sound familiar? That's equivalent to Dr. Umar Johnson. That's why he got the Marcus Garvey and allegedly. And does that sound familiar? Why do we keep repeating the same oh shit. Same goddamn rotation. Get your copy of this. Paradigmics. Dr. Claude Anderson. He's all over the internet. That's why I like to sit and read with you. Because see, the real problem is in chapter 1. And the problem with most folks is they want to avoid blackness and they think white ice is colder. Let me explain. Avoiding blackness. Blacks who exhibit this behavior avoid associating with any form of blackness. They want to be first, only black person in the integrated company, school, neighborhood, organization, or political party. Like whiteness, many blacks gauge the amount of black presence in anything that is not integrated or is all black or too black or politically incorrect. The phenomenon particular to blacks, there is no similar expression that someone or something is to Jewish, to Indian, to white, to Asian. Avoiding blackness allows many to live in a state of denial until reality roosters come home. The reality roosters. The reality roosters, they come home. So let me tell you about why ice is colder. Another category of inappropriate behavior is the presence of belief that white is colder. Black American is conditioned by family, school, and all social institutions to believe that whites are inherently superior, although they have always been blacks who try to disabuse other blacks to this belief. Their efforts have been limited efforts. The superior quality of the white man's ice remains a commonly accepted belief and expression in the black Americans. I am a witness in the mid 1970s. I actually saw in real life display front office building in Tallahassee, Florida, and I saw a black man drive up in a black owned grocery store. He got out of his car and walked over to the ice machine. He picked up several bags of ice, examined them, and put them back into the ice machine. Then walked across the street to a white owned liquor store. There, he went into the ice machine, took out 2 bags of ice, examined them, and then went into the drive-through window, paid for them. My friend, I was so struck into his behavior when asked him why did he reject the ice as the black store he had purchased. Then the identical brand from the white-owned store, he said, I don't like Mr. Brown's ice. It's too lumpy. Jack's liquor ice is better. That day, I learned that no one, not only, no, he said that way I learned not only was white ice colder, but appropriately smoother to at least some black people. Inappropriate behavior can be deeply rooted in the psyche of black Americans' dialect type of meaning. If whites touch it, it makes it sell, repair, or talk about it. Only then is it acceptable to blacks. But on the even deeper level, black inappropriate behavior seems to suggest that the significant number of black place more value of being alive than on the conditions under which they live. Eradicating these self-deprecation habits and learning inappropriate behavior patterns begins with offering black people new information, new political and economic goals, new social psychological models, and new hope. So these are things that we should really keep in mind. You know, when you're talking about like this is one for you, Mr. Anton Daniels, distorted perspectives. Our experiences give us our point of view. Like Alice in Wonderland looking into the mirror, what we see is distorted. It is not reality, yet what we perceive, we believe, and what we believe eventually controls how we behave. As black people, we tend to see ourselves and the solutions to our predicament through the eyes of non-blacks. We have done this for so long that we not question whether or not our perspectives or reality are accurate. We fail to challenge what we see and believe. We allow distorted views to lead in inappropriate behaviors. It is now time for us to correct this distorted by changing rather than keeping our perspective. That's for you, Anton Daniels. But see, the thing is, I can go into out of the box thinking, problem solving, following the majority, and the empowerment model. You guys really need to really take a real good study. This is powernomics because not only does it you understand economy, you understand power of your mind, your mentality, and sometimes how you can predicate your own demise just by the way you think and even in your subconscious of how you think. It's quite perplexed, but this is the reason why you will never get justice. You will never get justice because you perpetuate the wrong shit and you use the wrong type of perceptions that are your go-tos. And you use words that let me tell you something, man. I learned this book from Zoe Williams, Wicked Words and Poison Minds by Fropo Carr. I actually went and purchased this book. But if you think about the words like the Uncle Tom, pious, faithful Negro slave, Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harry Beecher Stowe, a black who is overeager to win the approval of whites. Ironically, Uncle Tom was originally a hero. James W. Loudon, and the lies my teacher told me, writes the theatrical productions of Uncle Tom's Cabin played throughout the um, nadir. But since the novel indictment of slavery was no longer congenial to the increasingly racist white society, rewrites changing Uncle Tom's from a martyr who gave his life to protect his people into a sentimental dope who was loyal to kindly masters. In the black community, Uncle Tom eventually became the meme of a black American without integrity who sells out his people's interest. Excuse me. Uncle Tom is particularly offensive term to black men in ways in which more offensive than nigger. Also, Webster tends says black man who can call another man nigger or nigger with emphasis on the first syllable, sim- symbol, syllable. I'm sorry. I was kind of little. I find that, yeah. And the second, black man wouldn't be offended. This isn't usually the case with Uncle Tom. If anyone were to call a black man Uncle Tom, whether black or white, he would be extremely offended. Why? Because unlike a horrible offense of other words, nigger, black, Uncle Tom denotes being a traitor to the black race and a sellout, particularly to the race white man or woman. None of these explains in an above definition. So we'll use another word. Okay, we'll go with polygyny. Racial history of the kind of organism. Polygyny is a rare word that amazingly was and is used scientifically to determine the fraction of black blood is found in a white person. Since this is done under the auspices of science, it gives the distinct impression of validity and legitimacy. Webster's ninth new Collegiate Dictionary falls distressingly short of the exclusion that polygyny is employed to support the belief and system of confused, bewildered, miserable races who, more simply than is used to determine the blood composition of humans, racially speaking. On the other hand, the Oxford Dictionary is ostensibly more honest. It describes polygyny as a genesis of evolution and a prolonged triad of species, an ancestral or racial evolution of an animal, plant, or type of distinguished from ontogenesis and evolution of the individual. The word first appeared in print in Darwin's Origin of the Species in 1872, and the word derived from the ancient Greeks. Phylon, race, genia, origin, Darwin, and the ancient Greeks were racist compared to eugenics through not considering the word is to your copy in the dictionary. See Sambo in chapter 2, a brief description. It changes the definition by replacing racial and evolutionary. Why the change? You'll have to ask the editors, as they say, good luck. So you have to understand how this whole world that we live in is pretty much centered around uh, racist ideological aspects and structure, not by justice. They couldn't possibly think of a just system because they would have to act in a just manner. Let's get to the next moment. The unrealistic expectation of others. You can never expect a person to treat you the way you want to be treated unless you teach them how to treat you. If you don't teach a person how to treat you, they'll treat you how they want to treat you. Think about it. I had already done that with moment. But peace has to be established within. In order for someone to never treat you how you don't want them to treat you, you have to have peace within, but that peace will ignite into a fire because you feel like your peace have been challenged. And if someone challenges your peace, you have every right to defend yourself as well as your peace. Understand that. Let's get to the last moment. The renewal is a promise when you seek after it. When you understand how to renew yourself, be a better you, be a more significant, more vibrant you, you have to establish that the fact that you have to seek it. It is nothing given. It is something that you have to set to require. It's a requirement that you set for yourself that you have to achieve. You'll know when, because you'll relinquish all of that damn dead weight. You'll give yourself justice before you demand it from someone else. To get justice, you have to get justice for yourself. Relinquish those bad pillars in your brain that tell you you can't do something. Establish new and renew. And there's your renewal. But check it out. It's the Will This Podcast. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you so much. I might have another show with me. But today, I want you to understand that justice shall prevail. And I hope you understand this too. That's the end of the show. But you know, this is a favorite part of the show. So say it with me. The will is yours. Bees, my people, be cool. And understand there's a place to always renew within. Peace.